Good evening. We will call this meeting to order. If you will please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can we have roll call?
Leo Biasucci is excused. Jason Keogh.
Here.
Ashley Pascal.
Here.
Robert Smith. Chuck Vaughn.
Here.
Scott Welty.
Here.
And Mark Z.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the, I'm sorry. Do we have any calls to the, call to the public? No, okay. So do we have a motion to approve the October 23rd meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And now we are on to the staff report.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board. Registration for youth basketball ages 5 to 12 will begin on December 4th. The Free Children's Celebration is Saturday, December 9th at Rotary Park from 10 to 2 p.m. The community is asked to bring an unperishable food item or an unwrapped toy as a donation. The free community dinner will be Friday, December 15th. In order to accommodate the large numbers that we served last year, there will be two seatings and serving this year, one at 4 p.m. and one at 6 p.m. Additional volunteers are needed. You must be a registered city volunteer, and anybody may be able to do that at lhcaz.gov and go to the volunteer section to get started. The pool is closed for its annual maintenance and will reopen on December 11th. 11 new lifeguards started with the aquatics division last week. The pool will be open during winter break from December 26th through the 29th, and then again January 2nd through the 5th from 1 to 4 p.m. for open swim. Special holiday parties are scheduled for November 30th, which will be a craft project, and December 7th, which will be cookie making. A couple of events going on in the community center will be a community dinner December 15th, Arizona Collections on Firearms December 30th, 31st, and January 1st, a blood drive January 9th and January 11th, an educational tour group fundraiser dinner on January 20th, and a vaccination clinic on January 27th. That concludes that portion of the staff report.
I have a question.
Certainly.
And I'm not sure if this has to go on another agenda, but it's just a question or a request for an update. Can you remind us of where we're at with the signs at Rotary Park? Was that approved and budgeted for, or?
They are approved, they are being constructed, and the last email I received was on Wednesday that they are almost complete. So we should see them in the next couple weeks installed.
Great. And was there any decision made about the piece of property between Rotary and the Aquatic Center?
There has not been a decision made on that yet. I think the city manager will end up waiting for the new city manager to look at that piece and what he would like to do with it.
Okay, thank you. Did anyone else have questions or comments on the staff report? Okay. The Trails Subcommittee report?
We did not have an official meeting this month, but there are a couple of items coming up. There will be a meeting with BLM on December 11th to discuss the old 95 right-of-way and the possibility of using this as a trail. This property is outside of the city's jurisdiction, so I don't personally have a lot involved in it, but I will be attending to listen of the Trails group. This is one of the benefits of them not necessarily being an official group, is they can look at some other areas too and how they can expand this. They will have a representative at the MPO meeting on November 28th, and they are working on scheduling a meeting and tour with the Desert Land Group about the trails through the new Riviera project, and they're hoping to get that scheduled in January or February.
Did anyone have questions?
What time of the day was that meeting on December 11th at the BLM?
I don't have that written down.
Okay, I'll just email you and you can.
Perfect.
Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keene. So we'll move into our public hearings. The first one is discussion and possible recommendation under walkway channel lights north side of channel.
Okay, I spent some time and got a few examples of, I believe, what we're referring to here. Obviously, the most popular of river walks is San Antonio. So there you can kind of see a picture of one of the ways that they have lit the area with little stanchions along the actual walkway with lights. I would somewhat be concerned of some boats being able to pull in there with that type of lighting. Through the Riverwalk in San Antonio, it's really just their tour boats that are allowed through the channel. So a little bit different area there. They also get a lot of overflow lighting from the shops and the restaurants that actually light up the waterway a little bit more. So we'll go to the next one. There you can kind of see a little bit more of the shop lighting and the Christmas lighting extending out. But again, the stanchions along the walkway to be lit up. A different design is what Chicago has done. And they've used LED rope lighting along the edge. Where that might work a little bit better for, I think, the seawall that we have in place with the boats coming up to it. Again, they light up the water because of the proximity, where we do have a little bit of a beach area in between, so I'm not sure how much it'll light up the water. But just a different design of how they have accomplished that. So again, there you can see the LED lighting around. Did have a little bit of conversation of if this project were to be considered both by this board and the recommendation would be for me to advance the conversation with the city manager and then possibly council of how this would work. We do need to look into the infrastructure down there. Is there enough actual electricity flowing to there? Even though LEDs don't use a ton of electricity, we'd still need some power there. What would that entail of getting it into the seawall? We would also need to talk with all the everyone's got a kind of invested interest down there, the resort, the heat, the condominiums, whether or not they really want that light down there too. I know, obviously in the conversations we've had with Cypress, one of the reasons people love Havasu is that it is a darker city, and but obviously this is a different area of lighting up the water and the walkway down in the park. And then I also just kind of, it's hard to see, I apologize. Just kind of the whole channel in general and what spaces that we might be, talking about. I originally had in my head that it was going to be the entire length on both sides. That's almost 3 miles of rope lighting. So that's quite an extensive project to undertake. So I guess I would need some guidance in that as well. If we decide that we want to move forward in some of the conversation. With that, I will leave it up to questions, or Mark, if you had any additional suggestions, with that kind of being your.
No, I mean, the Chicago pick was pretty much spot on my idea as far as a visual. You know, I thought that'd be really a good attraction for people to come down at night, and year round you'd be able to turn it on or off depending on the holidays. You can light them up, maybe solar power them for energy savings. And one of the main things I thought was safety, because of the casino boat coming through. Doesn't really have any lights on either side of the channel there at night. Under the casino parking area I walk, and that's really dark, and that might be an ideal area to try a test pilot type thing where it's small, or a section of it, and it really would outline those concrete barriers. I don't think boats park on either side of that northern channel either. Right in where the concrete is by the ferry terminal.
Right.
You know, so lighting it up for more safety for some of the boats. And just this last weekend, there were hundreds of boats, you know, Friday night for the boat lights. And I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, how are they not hitting each other? But, you know, they managed for years to do it. It's no big deal. It'd be more of an attraction, I think, to help generate flow for people down there at night. Something that Havasu could stamp as, you know, something to bring tourism in.
When you say the north side of channel, are you saying north of the bridge?
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess if this is accurate, casino parking would be north of the bridge, where the ferry docks. It's really dark from the ferry stretch to the condos. There's no pedestrian lights even at night. It would be something that could illuminate that area. If people like something like that, then we can further it.
And only on the east side?
Both sides. It would be tucked under the concrete, and you don't have to have it on all the time. Just, 10 o'clock at night, the lights come on and people are down there, and they're on for an hour doing a little color change or something. Or just for events, you have them down there on. But my intent would be to do the whole channel 3 miles. You know, I think it'd be something spectacular, you know, for people to come and see. Especially since I've seen the boats doing it. And they have their little glow strips on the bottom of their boat. I thought that was really neat.
I agree that it would be a neat project. There's a lot of stakeholders that would need to get involved. A lot of, especially in this one particular section, we have quite a bit of residential across the channel that would be staring at those lights. I also, not only just the Cypress conversation, when we put the sign up in front of the marquee in front of the aquatic center, we got a lot of comments, and we had to actually, it does stop at 10 o'clock at night so that people that live in that area aren't seeing it at 2 in the morning flashing. And so that was definitely some learning experience for lights in town. I guess I would question priority of the amount of money and resources that could go into a project like this. Is that what we should be doing right now?
Questions or other comments from the board?
I kind of agree with the, checking with obviously the people have vested interest in the channel. Do they want something like this? I mean, before we even hash it out, I guess that's where we need to know. Then, like the other is are we putting money into something that's really needed or really wanted? That's my only two concerns. I think it's great. I think at times it would be awesome. It looked really nice down there, but is it something that's really gonna pay off?
And I guess, again, to follow up with that too is if some of the stakeholders that own the shops and the restaurants down next to the bridge, would it would they be better served maybe paying for it than the city currently?
Yeah, I like all that input. It helps, put the picture into perspective. And, this is something that, once the budget, or if the budget gets moved, then there's talk of, extensions and projects, and we've got extra funds. This is something that I don't think would be that spendy if we did do a little section. Maybe it would be the south end of the channel along the park and the volleyball under that concrete where everybody really hangs out anyway, opposite of the college kid area of London Bridge. So either way, I just like to bring it in discussion, even if we talk about it for the next year or two.
I think it's a great idea in the areas where there's not a beach or docking for the boats, because then I think it would probably last longer and it's also those areas that you're describing north of the bridge. You already have the beautiful reflection of the lights from the bridge, and then that would kind of continue that look. So I would think that the residents in the area and the business owners would welcome that as an enhancement. And I also agree with the other comments and considerations. It may seem like a simple project, but probably, just as you experienced with the marquee, there is always another perspective that we can't all think of at one time. So I also love the idea of solar power. This isn't something that you would have to rely on. So if it didn't get the energy it needed to power up, it wouldn't mean anything. So I do like all of those ideas. That's my opinion. Mr. Vaughn?
Yeah, do I have my, yeah, it's
Yeah,
on.
it's on. Mm-hmm.
All right. The one thing about it though, on the north side are the condos. I know the seawalls is our problem. You're talking about putting the lights on the water side of the seawall. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, that was my original vision. He did show a couple different options where the light would be on the sidewalk, but I was thinking, if you've ever been down there and felt that concrete, there's like a tuck lip underneath it, and that's where you would put the lighting so no one could touch it, or it wouldn't be exposed, so it wouldn't be that bright. All you're seeing is the illumination of it, the reflection off the sand or the water. But wherever it would fit would be fine with me.
But the basic idea is to have it on the water side so it reflects into the water.
Yes, that's
Basically.
correct.
Okay. Well, the problem I think that I see is that you have such breakup, like on the island side of the north side, you can't even walk. All that is private, those condos. Then it comes to their beach in that, and then it goes out to where Crazy Horse is. And then, if I remember right, on the east side, you have the seawall over so far, and then you have rocks, and then you have where the condos went in, which is a beach, and then nothing past that. It would be kind of hard. And the solar part of it is, unless you have batteries for that to absorb, you're talking about running these at night, which when you have no solar, you wouldn't be able to use solar. Unless you had some kind of a battery system to where you collect it into the battery, and then that would run the lights at night.
Right. You have heads nodding yes.
Yes, that is correct. We would have to have a storage system for that energy someplace.
Yeah, solar I think would be just completely impractical there.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Again, I think it's a neat idea. So how about I keep it in my hip pocket, and as some things roll forward in the next couple of years, again, hopefully with the spending limitation, if that gets passed, and hopefully then we can bring some of these ideas maybe back up and further that conversation a little bit. I can also, just while we're at it, check in with a couple of the stakeholders down there and just see if there's even interest in anything like that idea, and talk with VRE and the resort and kind of see what their interest is in something like that.
Yeah, they may welcome it and support it, and even want to support it financially.
Exactly.
Yeah, even like a trial area where the businesses are, do a small section. If it's a hit and people want more and want to contribute, then add more. I mean, it'd be great to go in there and go big and do everything, but I think the kind of way to break the ice with everybody would be do a trial section and see how it goes over. Again, people are going to think, oh, lights, and it's going to be daylight down there all the time, but until you show them what it would look like, they may go for it a little bit better.
Certainly can understand that.
Yeah, I agree with you more on that too. Just a little sample trial.
Let me check with some of the stakeholders and kind of see what the concept is, and the idea of
That'd be
toss
great.
it around.
That'd be great. Thank you. And thanks for the innovation. Did anyone from the public want to comment on that? Okay. All right. Our next public hearing is a discussion on capital improvement projects.
Okay, our monthly update on Cypress Park, which is going very well. They are on schedule. All the mass grading is complete. The fine grading is occurring in the parking lot areas currently. The sidewalks are approximately 60% complete around the property. The retaining walls are approximately 90% complete. The restroom building is 65% complete. The storm drains are 90% complete. The irrigation line placement is approximately 70% complete. The fence placement has just begun and is approximately 10% complete. The project is roughly 50% complete overall and is on schedule. Construction is expected to be substantially complete in late February with anticipating opening in March. So there's the update from our Community Investment Division.
When will the lights begin to go up?
I don't have an exact date. I do know they were delivered and they are on the auxiliary parking area where the water tank is, but I don't have a date where when those will be installed or kind of an idea. But I can email the group with what that'll look like and as far as the project timeline goes.
I'm just anticipating maybe additional attention to that area once things are
The lights start being installed and the
Right.
towers go up.
right.
Yeah, very true.
Is that a fence that's going to go along the Daytona side, along the walkway?
Yes, that wooden structure that's
Okay.
currently, that will be a fence.
Has there been any reaction from the residents in the area?
Everything I've heard has actually been pretty positive. I think it really helped clearing out some of the vegetation that had grown up, especially along the wash area. And everybody is really excited to get, obviously, the project complete and the dirt out of the way. But the view that has opened up, we've heard a couple people actually go out to the contractors and ask where the trees are going to be placed so that they can know of how their view is going to look. But everything I have heard has been pretty positive after our initial resistance to some of the, especially the lighting projects. So far, it's been everything itself has been very positive lately.
Great.
I spoke with someone today that their property backs up to it, and they were very pleased with how everything was going and stuff. They just said it's going to take a little while to how they walk out in their backyard to get used to that.
Yes, I'm sure that will.
But other than that, they were very pleased with how the project's gone.
And were there any pieces of the plan that are not being included in the final construction?
They are not. We've ordered every bell and whistle.
Okay. Because I do remember that some of the potential groups to use that area were interested in, fundraising or supporting additional pieces.
I guess the one piece that, and it was never truly in the plan, is the concession area. And that would be where we'd be looking for a possible user group to to build and take over that space.
Okay.
Is there a little map or a visual of the plan? Just out of curiosity, for us to look at, the design and stuff. Even though it's all done, it's just nice to be able to look at it.
I can either email it out or it is on the website, the city's website as well. If you go under the bid documents, you can see
Okay.
the whole plan of the park.
Okay, thanks.
Were there, yes, Mr. Vaughn?
Is this going to be a dog-friendly park? Are we going to have one of those fountains like we had at the trailhead for water bottles and for the dog and everything else out there?
Yes, there are several dog stations around the park. So different. I think there's a fire hydrant going in, as well as some watering stations for them.
Are they going to have a post with dog waste pickup bags and trash cans?
I can't speak 100% that it was in the plans, but they will be installed if they're not in the plans, because we will be hearing about that on the field. So that would definitely be something we would address very quickly.
Yeah.
Other comments or questions? Thank you for the update. Piccadilly Point?
Okay, a couple things on Piccadilly Point again to remember. It is in the capital improvement projects to purchase the land fiscal year 18-19. So that will start July is our fiscal year. And then I think some of the question was, what is the intention to do with the actual point when we own the property? One of the reasons that we need to purchase the property is the fact that part of the skate park sits on this land, and so we are under a lease agreement with BLM on might be state park or state lands on that piece of property. So we do need to purchase it as that lease expires. This was a. We'll try to make it bigger here.
No, he's getting a map loaded up.
This was kind of an initial design concept that was, and several of you may have seen this and remember these discussions with the Trails group on kind of an initial concept. We really haven't done anything with it until we own the land. We won't go any further of designing or anything to that extent. But so Chuck, there's an aggregate base trail going out to the end of the point where there's an overlook, real close to where the lighthouse exists now. There's benches all throughout, and then a couple ramadas, and then an event area as well. One of the concepts would be to rent that for wedding receptions. It'd be kind of pretty out there on the point. So, and then that leads into the parking lot there, and you can kind of see the edge of the skate park poking out. But again, that was just an initial concept thought. I think something that was probably thrown together fairly quickly, fairly easily. But again, we won't go real in depth with anything until we actually own the land and have secured that piece of property. So,
Can you describe aggregate base? What does that mean?
Aggregate it's kind of like ground up road base.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So in July of 2018, you'll know more.
I'm not saying July 1st that the checkbook's going to go out, but the negotiations will start, with the state at that time.
So if nobody objects, can I ask for a reminder back then, and we don't have to visit it until then? And once you find out more, can you put it on the?
Certainly, yeah. And the Community Investments Division will do that negotiations and the purchase of the property. And there is no money currently in the budget to develop it. That is all just purchase money for the property. So development would be an added CIP or item at a later time.
So the council approves budgets 2 years at a time, correct? And so is this part of that? Are we in the first of 2 years?
We are in the first
Okay.
of 2 years currently, yes.
Okay. And this was included in, the purchase was included in the second year,
Correct.
which
This
is
is a,
fiscal 19.
yes.
Okay. Mr. Vaughn? Sorry, I'm not looking down that way. Mm-mm.
Yeah, mine, there we go. Mike, is this, if you go down Mulberry towards the water and you turn right and then you're heading towards Rotary, is that area that you're looking at straight ahead of you? From Rotary Park towards Body Beach?
Mhm.
Yes, there's that little peninsula that comes out. There's a lighthouse on the end of that peninsula. I know at one point there was talk of buying all of Body Beach. That just hasn't gone as far. So this is a piece of property we can purchase. It's really that peninsula that sticks out there at the very end, southern end of Rotary.
So it's basically going to be an extension of Rotary Park
Correct.
in that. So it'll still be a no dog park and everything,
Correct,
all
yes.
that. Okay. How far is it, would you say, from if you pulled over and parked down to the water? 100 yards?
No, I'd say it's, if you walked all the way out to the point, you're probably 500-600 yards at
That
least.
far,
Yeah.
okay. So we would be able to extend the beach down all that in front of that too, when we buy it and start to improve it. Have more beach area, basically.
Yes, it would add more beach to the park.
To the park.
Yeah. And we would do some cleanup of the brush that's there.
Right. Now, is that, if I remember right, that was fairly shallow out there too.
That area of Thompson Bay is very shallow, yes.
Very shallow, okay. All right, so we got plenty of room to put more parking and build the park and stuff like that when it comes about.
Yeah, there's already quite a bit of parking right there. When they finished the skate park, they did a pretty big lot on that side. That would be the eastern side of the skate park on the upper area. That's where the entrance to the point would be, and there's a fairly decent sized lot there.
Mm.
But if we needed to add additional space, there would be the land there to do.
I was gonna say, because if you come down Mulberry and where you turn right, that's quite a distance from that parking lot if you wanted to go all the way over to that end of the park without having any parking in there.
Yes, that would be
It's pretty
around
good
the ball
distance.
fields.
Yeah. What was I gonna ask? Do you know what they're looking at as a purchase price in a ballpark?
We have roughly budgeted $1.3 million for the purchase. I don't know exactly if that's enough or not enough. We'll as the negotiations start with state lands, the community investment group does put these numbers together. So it's a 9-acre piece of property, and the current estimate when this was put together was about $150,000 an acre.
Yeah. Well, if we want to make sure, we should be, as individuals go to the council meetings or to the budget hearings. They usually start in April or May, and remind them that we want to buy that piece of property to include into the capital improvements in that, and voice our opinion, so they just don't keep putting it off, because the longer we put it off, the more expensive it's going to be.
Certainly, and it was approved in the capital improvement plan for next year.
But if they don't budget the money, yeah, you know, they can take that back out.
They
I've
definitely
seen them do that.
They can, but it is budgeted there, so
Okay.
And just to clarify, the purchase is, but not the improvements.
correct. This would just be purchasing the land.
So maybe at that point, the board can make a recommendation to move forward in the next available opportunity for budgeting for that.
Certainly.
Okay.
When is the next budget approval meeting? Would that be at the end of 2018? I mean, or right,
They
beginning of 2018 then.
Arizona state law is you can only have a 1-year budget. We adopt a 2-year budget, and it's just signed for the second year. So next year's budget really is already built. They do have to approve it, but it is already built and put together. Then the next budget will be, we will start in January, February of 2018 for the 2019, 2020, 2021 budget years. Sorry, that's a lot of thinking ahead. Did I say that
Adopted
wrong?
budget-
20 and 21.
Adopted budget was July 1st of this year, and then the tentative budget it starts next year.
Correct. Because it does have to be approved by
Has to be
Arizona state
approved,
law.
though. It's,
So, but the plan is that this land would be purchased in the fiscal year 18-19, which is July 18 through June of 19.
Correct.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, I just want to make like an asterisk or a reminder that we get some kind of something approved for the improvements, you know, in the budget so we don't miss it, you know. So in July, we're not going, oops, should have done this in January. We don't do that. It's a city council.
Yeah, we'll, right, for the following cycle, we will get with, and when they're building that capital improvement budget.
Right. So then
Right.
sometime in 19 or 20, it would be done.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think we're relying on you to bring that back to us at the right time.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments on Piccadilly Point? Mark, did you? No? Okay. Okay, thank you. So we are already at future agenda items. Yes.
The one comment first. My daughters were here for Thanksgiving over about 11 days, and we walked the channel out to Rotary Park and that, and they really commented how nice the grass looked over the ball fields and everything like that. Everything looked really, really green and stuff like that. But in the where the bowl is, it was kind of didn't look the same. I don't know if they had a problem with that or too much watering, too little watering, whatever. But they said everything looked perfect. It says you guys really have some really nice parks there. The other thing is the signs for in Rotary Park for no dogs. They're just at the entrances, right? Mike?
There are markings throughout the park on the sidewalks that say no dogs. I know there are physical signs entering, and I want to say there's 1 or 2 more in the parking lot throughout, but they're not plastered everywhere.
Right.
But there are markings on the paths with some cute little footprints, and it says no dogs allowed.
Well, the people really don't pay attention to that when they're, the signs that we're putting up for the no smoking throughout the park, it would be nice to, you know, if they have it, is it going to be like a hanging sign? Maybe we could put another sign there too, a smaller one that says no dogs. Also, wherever we put the no smoking or the reminders, lungs and use or whatever they're planned on doing for that. But I'd like to see a few more, bring it up maybe to put a few more no dogs in the park signs. Because people just aren't paying attention to it. We were
Okay.
there the
Is,
other
is
day.
that a future agenda item, Chuck? We really can't
Yeah.
go on tangents and talk
Yeah,
about.
no, just,
so.
as a future agenda item, I'd like to discuss that, maybe putting a few more no dogs in the park sign.
I just wanted to bring a reminder for non-motorized launch ramp discussion at London Bridge Beach, possibly. And that's all.
Thank you. I had two requests, and it doesn't have to all be on the next agenda, but future agendas. Just an update on Sarah Park as well, and how that plan is moving forward. Or maybe even just a reminder of the timeline of that. Maybe I'm getting ahead. And then we were presented with a plan from the study, there was a study conducted on the aquatic and community center, and then a plan, I believe, was developed for the improvements based on that, the recommendations from the study. Just an update on where that's at and any discussion or recommendations that the board can make if there's anything that you're considering. How was it? Mr. Vaughn?
The other thing is, I know we had that needs assessment, and that I'd like to have a discussion on how far we are along, like a percentage-wise of what they say we need and what we are actually doing.
Is that the fields need assessment or the community center needs?
I think it was a complete one where it just said we needed more parks, more ball fields, soccer fields, pickleball courts.
Okay. The field needs assessment. Okay. We can give an update on that.
Any other suggestions? Okay. Okay, thank you. And our next meeting isn't until January, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Our December meeting is canceled, and our next official meeting will be January 22nd, 2018.
Okay. And I believe it was Mr. Biasucci that encouraged us to meet today as well, just for the record. Okay. So
Is the
January
meeting on the
is-
22nd in January? It's the fourth Monday, not the last Monday.
Correct, the fourth
Okay.
Monday.
All right.
Thank you. Do
Make
we
a
need
motion to
motion?
adjourn.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.